it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So proud of you as a church that we are a generous church that wants to make an impact here locally and around the world. And I've been to Cuba 10 or 11 times. I have a deep love for that nation in my heart. And I know what they're doing there is just absolutely phenomenal. And so I honor you and your generosity. You're making a big impact. And a lot of good stuff going on here around at Grace Church these days. First of all, I want to greet everybody at Alamance. Hey, y'all, can you put your hands together for Alamance Campus, Pastor John Mark, Maddie P., and the whole crew over there. We love you all, and I tell you what, it really is fun this time of year. We've got Step 1 happening today at both campuses. We've got our summer small groups starting. If you want to get plugged into a summer small group and maybe you weren't able to do it this spring, we've got some great opportunities. Step 3 being an excellent one. We've got Vacation Bible School for the elementary age kids. We've got our rising junior seniors and graduating seniors are going to the Dominican Republic. And we'll definitely all, just to remind you, Grace Church, we're sending them for free. Every single kid. Come on, y'all. Let me just tell you this. If you attend, serve, or give at this church, by the grace of God, we want every high school student to have an experience of getting a passport, getting outside of the United States of America, and seeing what God is doing around the world. It changes your life. And I want every young person's life changed. And so we're doing that this year, this summer, here at the end of June. And then we'll do it again in 2 years, and we're going to get every kid there. So anyway, it's really exciting. Lot of good stuff going on. Hey, today we're going to continue our series on Built to Last. We're talking about having a life that's built to last. And I want to tie it in today to our vision at Grace Church. Our vision at Grace Church is reaching people, building lives. Reaching people, building lives. And if you're here for a couple weeks, you'll hear us talking about that because it really is at the bullseye, the center of what God's called us to do and be. It's really part of the Great Commission. And what does it mean to reach people? Well, first of all, to reach people, we believe this. Y'all, this is so simple but profound. There's a real God who's alive, who's real. He's not a figment of our imagination. He's not a life philosophy, a life force. He's not a crutch for the weak. There is the one true and living God. And to help people see Christ and understand who Jesus is and to have a relationship where they can know God and experience God. I tell you what, nothing gives us greater joy. Jesus said, I leave the 99 who got it all together to find the one person who's struggling, who isn't seeing it, and for them to experience that life-giving relationship with Jesus Christ. All of heaven rejoices when one person experiences that. Hebrews 11:6 says this, without faith, it is impossible to please God. It takes faith to see who God is and experience him, right? Because anyone who comes to him, to God, must believe that he exists. That's the first step. That's why we reach people is you believe that he exists. He is. I am, like Yahweh, I am. And we want people to experience that gift of faith that they believe and experience there is a God who's alive. I tell you what, that's what I love about Grace Church. And the buzz and all that God's doing. I tell you what, it's not a social experiment. It's not a positive attitude. It's not a club. The presence of God is in this place. And people are coming to know Christ. Last weekend, 33 people were water baptized and proclaimed their faith publicly in Jesus Christ. Come on, y'all. Everyone at Alamance, put your hands together for that. That's exciting. So exciting, isn't it? But now, here's the they must believe that God exists and that he's a rewarder of those who earnestly seek him. So this is part 2, reaching people, building lives. As you have faith in God, you can actually get to know him better, love him more, and walk with him. And he rewards you as you earnestly seek him and experience him and know him. We want to build your life. We want you to fulfill your God-given potential, your destiny of who God's created you to be. That's why we exist. And what we want to talk about today is this, faith built to last. If you're going to have a life that's built to last, we need to have a faith, believing that God exists, and a faith that can grow, and your life can be built as you know God and walk with God. It truly is all about faith. And your faith that you have is a big deal. I think sometimes we just think like you get faith, like it's given to you, and you have it, and some people have more or less. But I want you to see two things. Faith is one of the most precious things you have. And two, your faith can grow. So listen to Peter. Peter says this, in all this is 1 Peter 1:6. In all this, you greatly rejoice. Well, what's this? Well, if I went back and read it to you, he was just talking about the hope that we have in the resurrection of Jesus Christ. That Jesus Christ died on a cross, but he rose again, y'all. And the fact that Christ is alive and we serve a living God, it brings hope to us. That he's alive and that he works. Christ can be in you. Like there's this living hope that we have. And in this, you greatly rejoice. Now, wouldn't it be awesome if Christ rose from the dead, you got a living hope, and you receive Christ, you have faith in him, and you have no more problems, struggles. I wish that was a thing, but that's actually not what it says. In all this, you greatly rejoice, though now for a little while. Now, y'all, let me just say this. When you're going through it, it doesn't feel like a little while, does it? But Peter's zooming back and he's looking at the big picture. He's giving us a bigger, broader perspective of our lives and what we experience. Though now for a little while, you may have to suffer grief in all kinds of trials. And let me say this today, sometimes you get on a certain topic and you know you're talking to some of the people in the audience. Today I know this, by the grace of God, I'm talking to all of us. Because we all face different trials. We all go through trials. In this world, you will have tribulation. And what's interesting is it's different. It's different in different seasons of life. And sometimes things are going well and, it tends to be a good season. But there's always something. And God will bring us through different trials. Now, when this happens, check this out. Here's the next verse. These have come. What's these? The trials, the difficulties, the pain, the job loss, the health battle, the addiction, the struggle with mental health, depression, child's not doing well. That'll mess with you, okay? These have come so that the proven genuineness of your faith is, check this, of greater worth than gold, which even gold perishes even though it's refined by fire, may result in praise and glory and honor when Jesus Christ is revealed. Let me tell you to you this way. Of all the possessions you have, like if I asked you this morning, what's the most valuable possession you have? You go, well, my bank account, I got a couple bucks, or my house, or even the people in my life. That'd be a good answer. Let me tell you this. It says, more valuable than anything you can possess on earth is a spiritual faith that you have in your heart, in your spirit, in God. Because it opens the door to your relationship with God and your relationship with people. What I want you to see for just a moment is this. You've been given a gift of faith when you receive Christ. And by the way, today, there's gonna be some people who are gonna give their life to Jesus Christ. I wanna tell you by God's grace, God brought you here today to hear this message that you can have a living hope in Jesus Christ. And he loves you and he's real and he cares for you right where you're at. And you don't have to fix yourself and turn yourself around in order to follow him. You need to humble yourself and follow Christ. And then God gives you a seed of faith, a gift of faith. Okay, now, when you get that seed of faith, okay, it's more precious than gold. Like, when you have something very precious, you go, well, am I gonna put it in the safe? Or, I don't know, or get bank deposits. I guess we used to do that back in the day. Like, where do you put something, what do you do with something very precious? Okay, you guard it. And, let me tell you this, you can develop and grow your faith. So we're gonna talk about this. How do we grow our faith? And what I wanna do is this. Well, let me tell you what I'm praying. Can I tell you what I'm just praying for? like sometimes I kind of got a little secret thing I want to kind of sneak in. Nothing secret sneaking in. Let me tell you straight up what I'm praying for today is that every one of you, as I talk through this story, I'm praying that this story relates to some trial, difficulty that you're facing, and that your faith, more precious than gold, that God would infuse some fresh faith in your heart and my heart today. That you go, and you'd walk out of here a little bit with like, I'm believing God. And it's like genuine. It's real faith. It's not just a positive attitude. It's not just an upbeat perspective. That you've got a genuine faith deposited in your heart in God. And we're going to talk through what that looks like and maybe how that can be built a little bit. But that's what I'm praying for y'all today. And so this story, what we're going to do is we're going to talk through a story that encourages and challenges, inspires my faith. It's a story of 3 Hebrew young men, and it's during the exile period. And just real briefly, give you context. The exile period for the Israelites was they had all these kings, and they were all together for a while. Then they split up into 2 kingdoms. There was, after, like Saul, David, Solomon, the kingdom got split between Judah and Israel. And there was Israel had kings and Judah had kings. And this is Kendrick's brief summary version. Israel kings would be something like this: bad, 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 good-ish. Bad, 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 bad. Okay, it was not the best. Judah was bad, bad, good, good-ish, bad, bad. It was better. Okay. Well, God loves his children enough to say, I want you to know me. And it was really in some ways kind of a dark season for God's people. And so God allowed the Assyrians to come in, and first they conquered Israel, and that half of the kingdom was actually 10 of the 12 tribes. And they were deported. And what you might not know, it was actually 135 years later. It was like Judah had good, like good-ish, bad, bad, good-ish, and eventually the Lord brought King Nebuchadnezzar and the Babylonians who conquered Judah. And what they would do is they would take the best and the brightest, the educated, the young, the strong, and they would take them back to put them in service in the Babylonian army, which served 2 purposes. One, served the purpose of strengthening their team back in, Babylon, and 2, it would cause them to not have leadership locally, so the people they could kind of rule and reign. So they brought a bunch of people, and then went into exile. Now, what they did is they put them into 3.5 years. They didn't just say, get to work. It was like 3.5 years of education and training. And they kind of saw who rose to the top. And who rose to the top, interestingly, were 4 people. A man by the name of Daniel, and then 3 men by the name of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. That was actually their Babylonian names. And what King Nebuchadnezzar, who had conquered them, remember, at least 3.5 years previously, said this, is that those 4 guys were so much better than all of his other counselors. He had counselors and magicians and astrologers. He says, they're so much better. He said he found them 10 times better. It was like God's wisdom and favor was on their life. Well, those previous counselors or, counselors there, they didn't take it, real kindly that they were getting displaced by these 4 Hebrews who just kind of waltz on in there, and now they have all this favor from King Nebuchadnezzar. So they're kind of trying to plot to, to keep their place of influence, and So what happens is this: King Nebuchadnezzar builds a statue, and this statue is massive statue, 90 feet tall. I mean, think 8 to 10, 9 foot ceiling. Do that up 90 feet. Do that 10 times or whatever at your house. Okay, pretty high, and it was 9 feet wide. We don't know if the statue was of Nebuchadnezzar himself or one of the Babylonian gods. Often a king would choose a god and kind of relate. And it was really worship to the statue, to the god, and to the king were really honestly pretty tied together. And so what he does is he completes this, and he's going to have a dedication service for the statue. And they bring from the Babylonian kingdom all these different regions. They're going to bring all the leaders in, and they're going to have a dedication service. And it's going to be a big, huge, honor the king, and see this massive statue that was built, and it just strengthens their, Babylonian kingdom. And so the counselor's like, hey, by the way, if someone doesn't bow down and worship that statue, that would be a problem. So they kind of made this rule that if anyone doesn't bow down, we got this fiery furnace. We're going to, in front of everybody, throw them in that fiery furnace to prove that if you're not on Team Babylon, Team Nebuchadnezzar, lights out. Okay, well, they also then, before this all shakes down, they come to Nebuchadnezzar and say, hey, by the way, you got 3 of your key people, they're not bowing down. Everyone else is, when the music plays, everyone's supposed to bow down. And it'll be like 3 guys standing there and going, and they know how to poke his pride. That'll be so disrespectful in front of all these people. It says that Nebuchadnezzar became enraged, and he brings in these 3 Hebrew young men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and he goes, is it true that at this dedication service, when the music plays and when everyone bows down, that you're not going to bow down? And he was enraged, furious. He goes, listen, what can your God do against my great power? I'm throwing you in the furnace. Now, y'all know we're going to make application to our lives here. So let me pause for just a moment. And let me tell you what you and I experience. Because I promise you, every one of us is going to experience this. We're going to have a trial. We're going to have a difficulty. Something's going to happen with one of our kids or our marriage or a friend or our health. Lose a job. Painful, unjust, difficult, extended family, meltdown, whatever. And in that place, this is the voice that comes. What can your God do against my great power? I'm cancer. What's your God going to do against cancer? Your kid is making bad choices and heading the wrong direction. What's your God going to do about it? What you went through, how unjust it was. Does he really care? And does he have any ability to make any difference when I'm this powerful and when I'm this strong and when it's all melting down? I mean, I know you believe in God, but how's he supposed to help with your finances? Really? And get a job, find a spouse, have a kid and get pregnant, whatever it might be. See, and we're going to all hear that and experience that and feel that. And that's exactly where Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were. It was like, well, if you don't bow down, we're throwing you in the furnace. What's your God going to do about it? Now, look into their response. Check this out. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we have no need to answer you in this matter. Now, in just a moment, we're going to keep reading, but let me pause right there again. Here they say this, O Nebuchadnezzar, it's us. Hello, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. We have no need to answer you. You know us. You know who we are. Now check this out, y'all. Let me tell you what didn't happen. By the time, from when Nebuchadnezzar said, and I'll throw you in the fiery furnace, what can your God do about this? Can I tell you what didn't happen? They didn't huddle up and they didn't pray about it. They didn't huddle up and go, okay, guys, what do y'all think? Well, maybe we should bow down. I don't know. Well, it is pretty hot in there. I don't think we got much of a choice. Let me tell y'all, they didn't huddle up and talk about it. They didn't pray about it and go, Lord, what are we supposed to do in this situation? I wonder, y'all, let me tell you this. They pre-decided. It actually says, check this out, it says, they answered the king, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we have no need to answer you in this matter. What's fascinating to me as I just envision it in my mind's eye is they didn't all say that in perfect unison. One of them spoke up for all 3 of them, They didn't, I promise you, they didn't pause, they didn't pray, they didn't huddle up, and they knew they were answering for all three of them in unity with authority. Oh, King, we have no need to answer you because we pre-decided. And let me tell you this, in your life, when you choose to follow Christ, there's a bunch of things by the grace of God you can pre-decide. And it's a whole lot easier pre-deciding than trying to make the decision in the moment. Well, should I be ethical at work or not? Hold on. When I file my taxes, well, hold on a minute. I guess I'm gonna try to figure out my physical boundaries and walking in the moment, in the heat of the moment. Well, I wonder what I should do. Okay, y'all, here's my point. You pre-decide a bunch of stuff. It really helps. And they had done that. O King, we have no need to answer you in this matter. Then it goes on, if this be so, that you throw us in the fiery furnace. Tell you what, if you're gonna do that, look at what he says. Our God, whom we serve, is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of your hand, O King. Now check this out, y'all. They didn't read the end of the story. They didn't have a plan. All they knew was in their spirit. One of them spoke up and said, listen, we don't need to answer you. You know who we are. And I tell you what, all I know is this. I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know how this is shaken down. I don't know, like what's the plan? How's he gonna get you out of this mess? I don't know, but I'll tell you this much. Our God is able to deliver. Our God will deliver us. I tell you what, many of you know my story, but I can't help but think of it. I got sick with cancer, met with the doctor, and something just rose up inside of me. And I look at him and I said, by the way, we had a long meeting at the end. I said, hey, by the way, we will win. He goes, well, yeah, you know, we always try. And I'm like, no. Let me say again. We will win. Because I know my God's able. And I know he will deliver me out of this. Okay, how do you know it? Does everyone who gets cancer live happily ever after? Nope. Because look at what they said next. But if not, if God doesn't deliver us, be it known to you, O King, that we will not serve your gods or worship the golden image you have set up. We will honor God. Lord, even if you take me home, I'm gonna win. Because I'm gonna love you and serve you and honor you and trust you. And I'm gonna know that you're with me and you're for me. Because it doesn't always end up happy. I mean, wouldn't it be nice if everything ended up happy? But actually, if you look at like our heroes of the faith in Hebrews chapter 11, we have the heroes of the faith. And there's a whole chapter in the New Testament that talks about the Old Testament heroes of the faith. They did this and they did that and they stopped this. And it kind of is talking about how they all had faith and how God just did all these amazing things. And you think, wow, I guess just everything worked out great. But look at this, Hebrews 11:13, because this is gonna be true with you and me. These all these people we're talking about in this chapter, died in faith, not having received the things promised, but having seen them and greeted them from afar and having acknowledged that they were strangers and exiles on the earth. That's amazing. That yes, God worked. Yes, God did miracles and shut lions' mouth and did all kinds of incredible miracles. But let me tell you this: some of the promises, it actually didn't end up. Moses didn't get into the promised land. Joshua did. And there's certain promises that just you just don't know what God's up to and what he's doing behind the scenes and when it's going to come to pass. And so Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego say, hey, even if it doesn't end well, we're going to love you and trust God and serve God. We're not going to bow our knee. What can we learn? What can we learn about our faith and apply it to our lives? Here's the first thing we can learn, is that our faith and a faith built to last helps us to, number one, stand in faith. To stand in faith, because when the enemy comes after you, when doubt, fear, anxiety, when the trial hits, the difficulty hits, there's an opportunity maybe to compromise, to trust in something else besides God. Well, I'll just trust in that, and it comes knocking at the door. And I want to say this, in the middle of your trial, in the middle of your pain, when you don't know the end of the story, that's why it's really powerful. It's really powerful when you get to do it. Like it's a whole lot easier to do it at the end of the story, right? It's harder to do it in the middle of the story. You don't know the end of the story. You don't know, like, so do they burn up? Does the marriage get back together? Does the kid come back and start following the Lord and doing better? Like, how does it end? In that place, you stand in faith. And you say, Lord, you're good. Lord, I trust you. Lord, you're with me. Lord, I'm going to stand on your promise that though I can't see you, I know you, that you are good. And I just want to speak faith to some of you that in the middle of your trial, a powerful thing is to rise up in your heart. And let me just say this, our trials can really shake our faith, can't they? Let's be honest, let's be real. Like you're in a really difficult situation. And you go, this is just a tough one. Like, I'll speak to parents for just a minute. Like, if you got something really challenging with your child, let's say a health issue, there are some parents who came to Jesus and their kid wasn't doing well and needed to be healed. And Jesus said, well, how long has this happened? Well, from childhood, like his whole life. It's hard to believe, isn't it? And their faith level was really pretty low. Their faith level was really pretty low. They brought their son to the disciples. They prayed, nothing happened. Ever prayed and asked God to do something and nothing happened? Didn't make a difference. Seems like God didn't hear. And so they bring him to Jesus, and the dad says this. He's been like this since childhood, but if you are able to do anything, have compassion on us and help us. Now check this out, y'all. What he's saying is this. He's so kind of down. He had enough faith to come to Jesus. And he says, if you are able, have compassion and care, because you might have the ability, but not care. So he's saying, if you have the ability, please care and help us. That's exactly what Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego said. God's able, and he will. Like, he's for us. He loves us. His character, his heart, he's with us. He's for us. And so we believe he's able, and he will. We believe that he loves us, and he has the ability to make a difference. And what they're saying here is, if you are able, and if you, please have compassion and care, and help us. And then Jesus said to the dad, if you are able, all things are possible for the one who believes. Isn't that interesting? I don't think Jesus was rebuking him or trying to try to say, come on, pick up the pace, big shooter. I think he was trying to give him faith to believe, right? He actually said, if you are able, he goes, no, listen, like that everything is possible to the one who believes. Now, when we hear that, it's meant to inspire faith in us, but what do we sometimes feel? We feel like, well, I don't know if I got enough faith. And we put pressure on ourselves to drum up, and we think God answers prayer based upon our level of human faith that we try to grit our teeth and have more faith. And let me just tell you this, gritting your teeth and trying to have more faith, and why didn't God answer your prayer? Well, you didn't have enough faith. Okay, that doesn't work. That doesn't work. And maybe some of you have got that message before. Well, why didn't you just pray more? Why didn't you just believe? Not cool, not loving, not God's heart. Now, listen, he says, if you have faith, everyone who believes, all things are possible. Now listen to what the dad says. Immediately the father boy cried out and said, I believe. help my unbelief. Yo, that's powerful. I believe, I got a little glimmer of faith, help my unbelief. And I want to say that's such a helpful thought, because maybe you're in a situation where your faith has been shook and you've been down and you were overwhelmed, and you go, honestly, emotionally, or my thoughts have been just running wild, and I haven't been sleeping well, or emotionally I've been just in the tank. And to say this, I believe, help my unbelief. I believe, help my unbelief. What we can do is this. That helps us grow our faith. That's the second thing I want to talk about. We stand in our faith, but then let me tell you this, you can grow in your faith. You can grow in your faith. Your faith can grow and get stronger. And I want to tell you this, is that God uses trials and difficulties and pain and struggles to grow our faith. He can even use things that are wrong, evil, sinful, or unjust. Also, he can work them for good, and it can create a blessing in your life that your faith actually grows in God. And that's not always that easy, right? Because at times, our faith doesn't grow. At times, our faith can be kind of shook, and we just, you're in the middle of it, and you don't feel like you can believe. You believe, but you're like, I'm rattled. I'm shook. And I want to talk to you for a few minutes. How do you grow your faith in the middle of it when you say, I believe, help my unbelief? But how does God help our unbelief? How does our faith grow? And I want to give you two thoughts on how to grow in your faith. Here's the first one that maybe I wouldn't have seen coming, is that humility is essential. Humility is actually the first key, I believe, to actually growing in your faith. Because God resists the proud, but gives grace to the humble. And our pride can get in the way of God working because we're trying to do it in our own strength, our own way. Or, here's the other thing that happens, is that at some point, again, we've all experienced this, where we prayed or asked God or trusted whatever, and God didn't come through. And remember we said that voice, like Shadrach and Meshach and Abednego heard, the voice that came and said, what is your God able to do against my great power? And when God doesn't come through, and when God doesn't answer, and it doesn't work out the way that you want, and the person gets sick or passes away, or the marriage doesn't just struggle but falls apart, or whatever, that at that place, this is what can happen, is we can say, God, you let me down. You weren't there. I prayed. I trusted. Why weren't you there when my mom was sick? Why weren't you there when I was a child? How could you have let that happen to me, to my family? And what we do is this. We pick up an offense and we get angry with God. I just want to tell you, as I prepare each week, I just pray for all of you. I love you. I care for you. And when I close my eyes, I feel like sometimes I can feel what some of you are feeling. And I was just deeply moved this week because it's not everybody, but I could feel some of you, because of what you experienced, you've been carrying an offense with God and been angry at God. And I want to say this, that humility is a first step of letting go, saying, I don't understand. I don't get it. It was painful, but God, it wasn't your fault. God, you didn't let me down. God, you're always good. And the world may be sinful, people may be sinful, the world may be broken. But let me tell you this, God is never the source of evil or unjust. He's never the source. And we can struggle with, well, God, how could you allow that to happen? How could you allow that to happen? Can I give you the answer to that? I don't know. Neither do you. Like, we don't know. That's the humility aspect. Like, I don't know. I'm so sorry. Tears going down as pastor, I hear stories. I don't know why it happened. But let me tell you this. I do know God wasn't the source of evil or unjust. And sometimes, this is part of how you let go, because sometimes, if I may just pastor you here, pastor your heart for just a minute, I'm going to step right in there. Sometimes people say, you just need to forgive God. If I can lovingly pastor you and challenge you, you don't need to forgive God because God didn't do anything wrong. God is always good and loving and gracious and kind. Do I understand? Do you understand why he allowed it? What pain? What? No. I got no clue. I'm so sorry. I don't know. But I do know that when you get to heaven, we're going to have a different perspective. And you're going to find out that God's really good. And here's a powerful twist. Is actually you have the humility to say, Lord, I've been offended with you or angry with you, and today I'm letting it go. And I don't need to forgive you. In fact, I'm going to ask you to forgive me for holding that offense against you as if you weren't good or loving or kind or gracious. And I don't understand it. And it's painful, and it's raw, and it's real, but I'm letting it go today. And I'm going to say you're good. That could unlock something in your heart. Some of you have been a little bit locked up internally, and your relationship with the Lord has just felt a little distant. And if you carry an offense and anger with God, like it does create a little bit of a blockage. And in one moment, when you choose, it's not completely one and done, but I'm telling you, it's like something comes out of your heart, and it's like a dam breaking, and the river of God's love and grace and mercy and presence can come, and the river of his goodness and grace, and you can hear him and experience him and feel him and grow in your relationship with him. But a blockage in all of our hearts can be when we've gotten offended or angry with God. And I'm so for you, and I so love you, and I can so feel it. And I think for some of you, today could be a day that the dam breaks when you choose to say, Lord, I'll let it go. And I'm going to trust you. And then secondly, there's a humility, then there's a hunger that says, I want to know you, God. I want to know you, who you truly are, God. The more you know God, the more you trust him. Let me tell you this, it's not the size of your faith that matters, because faith of a mustard seed can move a mountain. Y'all, it's how much you know God experientially. Like, have you ever heard the Jesus loves me, this I know, for the Bible tells me so? Okay, if you grew up in church at all, like you sing that from a little kid. Let me tell you this, the fact that God loves you is one of the most simple but profound, life-changing truths. You will never plummet the height, the depth, the breadth, the length of the love of God that is in Christ Jesus for you. And if you say, Lord, I want to know you. I've got a hunger in my heart to know you. I want to know your character, and I want to know your ability. I want to know your heart, and I want to know your power. And the more that you know God and experience him, you see, that's when it goes from your head, Jesus loves me, this I know, to your heart, that in the middle of your pain, you go, in the middle of your circumstance, in the middle of your trial, in the middle of your fire, you go, Lord, I love you. And you love me, and you're with me, and you're for me, and you're merciful, and you're good, and I trust you. Lord, I want to know you better. And with that, thirdly, we can fight with faith. We can fight with our faith, and your faith is a weapon to fight the good fight of faith. Faith is a weapon. Now check out this weapon. What does this weapon of faith do? Ephesians speaks of the weapons of our warfare, and it actually, look at this, Ephesians 6:16, in all circumstances, take up the shield of faith, which you can extinguish all the flaming darts of the evil one. Okay, so there's an evil one. There's powers of darkness, and what happens is the evil one throws flaming darts at you. Zing. And it says this, what's your God gonna do about that? Whoosh. You lost that job, where was God for you? Whoosh. What, that friend, that shot, there's flaming darts. What can your God do about my great power? Zing. And it says there's a shield of faith that when that hits faith, you go, no. My God's able, and he will deliver me. He will help me. And even if he doesn't, I'm loving him, and I'm trusting him, and I'm serving him, and I'm walking with him. And I'm gonna fight the good fight of faith by trusting in him. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego didn't get delivered from the circumstance. Y'all know what happened? They got thrown in the fire. And we've all been thrown in the fire. And what I want to do here in just a moment is pray for you, because probably all of us, everyone at Alamance, like y'all listen, like you're probably in the fire in some way. You're in the fire, right? You're in it. You feel it. And what happened was this, they got thrown in the fire, and King Nebuchadnezzar looks into the fiery furnace. He goes, there's 3 guys in there. Actually, there's a 4th. And the 4th one looks like the Son of Man. Some people say it was a theophany, an appearance of God, of Jesus before he came. And there was another in the fire. And I want to tell you this, is that in the middle of your fire, your circumstance, your trial, that when you have faith to say, my God's able, he will deliver me. But even if he doesn't, God says, I'll be with you. I'll walk with you in the fire. I'll hold you. I'll carry you. I'll help you. I'll comfort you. I'll strengthen you. I'll give you wisdom. One step at a time. One step at a time. And I just want to pray right now that the Lord would meet each of us today and know that there's another in the fire with us. Everyone, come on at Alamance, let's pray together. Father, we bow our heads. We bow our heads. And we humble ourselves. And Lord, for some of us today, we're going to let go. We're going to choose to let go of an offense, maybe of anger, of blaming God that we've carried in our hearts, maybe for years, for what happened to us, to our family, to a friend. We choose today, God, to humble ourselves and say, Lord, I don't understand, but I know you're good. And I proclaim your goodness. And I choose to forgive the people. I choose to forgive this broken world and the circumstance. And I choose to trust you, Lord, because I don't need to forgive you, because you are always good and loving and kind, even when I don't understand. And Lord, I do want to ask you to forgive me for not feeling angry, but allowing that anger to settle in and turn into a perspective of bitterness, of carrying an offense. Cleanse it, take it out of my heart. I let it go today. I let it go. I release it. I release that person, that circumstance. Let the river flow, let the dam break. Let the clouds part and the sun shine. Lord, build our faith that you are good, that you are able, that you are with us. Maybe today you want to dedicate your life to Jesus Christ. In this place of worship, we're just going to take a moment to respond. And I want to ask everyone here in Chapel Hill and on the Elements to go ahead and stand up. We're just going to briefly sing this chorus. There's another in the fire. And just allow the Lord to continue to speak to your heart.
There was another in the fire, standing next to me. There was another in the waters, holding back the sea. Should I ever need reminding of how I've been set free, there is a cross that bears the burden, where another died for me. There'll be another in the fire, standing next to me. There'll be another in the waters, holding back the sea. Should I ever need reminding how good you've been to me, I'll count the joy come every battle, 'cause I know that's where you'll be.